Welcome to the Abide Project Synod 2023 update, Monday evening update. I am Reverend Tyler Wagonmaker.
And I am the Reverend Cedric Parcells.
And we are here on the campus again of Calvin University. We are actually in a classroom, Cedric, a religion and theology department classroom. There's even a handy-dandy map behind us of the cradle of Christianity. And we are in a place where the Christian faith is taught and where Christians gather to learn about God's world and where Synod has been meeting.
Exactly.
To talk about the matters of the church and the things of God. It's been a full day, actually.
A very long day.
But one of the things, by the way, just as I think about Synod, that I enjoy about Synod is kind of Synod swag.
Yes.
In fact, what swag have you picked up at Synod so far, Cedric?
I found this awesome book by Corinne Mogg on worshiping with the Reformers. I think that has a place next to my nightstand.
That is a good bedtime reading. So, meaty, wonderful. Worshiping is wonderful.
Yes.
So
with the Reformers, even better.
My swag was not quite as scholastic. This is like a baby future night, Calvin night. Yeah. So I just thought, hey, it's free. It was right. It was kind of neat, and also a nice CD of Calvin College Alumni Choir, which is always amazingly beautiful. It's a great choir, and it's always a beautiful CD. They just had them sitting out there. Said, take one. It's free. And I said, I'm Dutch. I'm going to do that.
I was just thinking that. You are so Dutch.
And I like free music.
If it's free, I got to take it.
And there's free chocolate, too. But the chocolates were wonderful. I've been snacking on those a bit through the day because we sat in most of the meetings here.
We did.
Today. It started, of course, this morning, went till 9 o'clock tonight. And this is past 9 o'clock, but we're going to kind of reflect a little bit on the day.
Yes.
It started out the morning with an address by the COD president, Andy DeRuyter, and just kind of updating. And then it moved to the general secretary, a new general secretary, Zach King, and he talked about the state of the denomination. And from there, they went and dealt in the morning with an overture which had come kind of questioning, challenging the sometimes a class like Minn Kota will object to the seating of women office bearers. We are a denomination that holds the two positions on women's ordination. There's a complementarian position which says Scripture has specific roles for men and women, and that does not allow women to be office bearers in the church to hold those kind of authority positions. And then there's the egalitarian position which says nope. God has blessed wonderfully men and women alike with these gifts and both should equally be used in the church. Yeah. And so Synod lives into the egalitarian position every single day in many ways. So this is an opportunity for the complementarians to say, we're here, we still have a position. Right. And so Synod came down and said, well, we don't want individual congregations or classes on their credentials to have that read at the beginning of Synod or partway through.
What they don't want is, what they said is we don't want individual classes or even individual delegates to craft their own protests. If there's going to be a protest, and you can still protest, they're not taking away the right of protest. What they're saying is, what they decided to do was, if there is a classis or a delegate who wants to protest, then they will be identified as protesting. And then instead of giving their own explanation for their protest, there's a stock statement.
Yes, a stock
that's going to be read in lieu of that. And the hope is that the stock statement will be fair to both the complementarian and the egalitarian members of the synodical body.
Yeah, saying that the denomination holds both positions, both are biblically defensible, and so how do we continue to do ministry together? Right.
And this is just part of the tension of the Christian Reformed Church living into something that we've agreed is not a gospel issue.
That's right. So, and which is also an issue, of course, this Synod, because we're dealing with something where churches are saying there is a gospel issue, and there are some saying, well, we can live together and do this fine, and we're seeing on the issues of women's ordination that there's a lot of tension on a non-gospel issue of what that even looks like. So they broke for lunch anyway, and they came back for lunch, and they had some wonderful hymns, Blessed Assurance and How Great Thou Art, such beautiful, powerful singing, which really kind of catapulted us into the afternoon where we were introduced, the delegates were introduced to the new Resonate director, Kevin DeRaff, and he kind of told his story And then from there, they moved to discussion on ecclesiastical marriage, a report which came through. What was some of the guidelines that were passed by Synod?
So the ecclesiastical marriage report was in response to a request. What do we do with people who, for a variety of reasons in their lives, they might not want to get a civil marriage, be married in the eyes of the state, but they still want the church to bless the union. So can they get an ecclesial marriage, a church marriage? And so what's the legality of all this, and what are the dangers that could come up? And
well, one of the things they should do is ask a minister for legal advice.
No, they should not ask a minister
do that.
for
Okay,
legal advice.
don't do that.
No.
Okay. That's right.
So, please, we don't get paid enough to give legal advice.
If we got paid as lawyers, then maybe we could really dispense legal advice.
Exactly.
True, yeah.
No, they said they urged pastors not to do this. They urged them not to do this and to not give legal advice. In fact, I was talking to one of the lawyers who is a synodical delegate, and he said, if anyone approaches you about this, you tell them to go get legal advice.
Okay,
so that's the word of wisdom.
That's right.
From
and
our
Synod
legal
said
brothers.
to ministers, don't marry them.
Right.
We're encouraging you
urge you not
to.
Yes, yeah.
We're not going to prohibit you outright, but we strongly urge you not to do
exactly.
that, pastors. Yeah. After that, the Synod moved on to a bivocational report, what that looked like with ministry, again, as churches are changing and many of them increasingly not able to support a full-time pastor in
smaller churches,
growing new churches. And some of them are just, pastors are saying, I would like that unique kind of challenge of ministry of just going into the workplace and kind of making that also part of my ministry,
right?
Which would be bivocational. So they had to change a lot of the stuff in the church order. That was all approved, and that will be ratified.
Rather quickly.
Yeah, rather quickly. In fact, the reporter, I wrote this down, this is great. He said, I can't believe changing the church order is this easy.
It's
Usually
not always that easy.
It's not. So, and the delegates laughed at that. Just how quickly that went through. We had some addresses from some of the educational institutions, and after that, we were reminded of Calvin University, Dort University, Redeemer, and so many of the other ones that we're blessed by as a denomination. And again, this is where we get some of the swag to really encourage the different
the Meter Center,
Center from these different universities. Some friendly rivalry took place on the floor of Synod as well. It's good. It's friendly.
We had to be reminded that Dort was getting a lot of attention.
Yes.
Professor Bohr.
Oh yeah, Dr. Bohr.
Dr. Bohr said,
the president.
By the way, we are your school.
That's right. They're having emphasis on your.
Exactly.
We are your. So
and they are our school.
It's good to have that close connection. And that, again, we've been shown a lot of hospitality.
Yes.
And we're guests. We aren't even delegates. So, but speaking about smaller churches not being able to afford full-time pastors, that moved into a discussion about an overture which raised the question of declining numbers, of membership numbers in the denomination. At first, it seemed like that was just going to be maybe a sleeper kind of, the Synod, the delegates approved the recommendations that came out of the committee saying, yes, this is an issue, this is a problem. Thrive, the old congregational ministries, and Resonate have come up with a plan, and so we just kind of need to work the plan a little bit, and then that was supposed to be the end of it.
Right.
Was it the end of it, Cedric?
It was not the end of it. It was quite a journey on the floor of Synod.
It was.
They tried to. So basically, what they got to the very end of that report, and they said, okay, this is our response to the overture, and there was a motion to table that, and the motion to table failed, and then they spoke at length on the original motion, the one that was to say, this is our response, let's move on with life. And that was voted down.
Yeah, which is whoa, what's going on here? So,
and then from the floor, Scott Vanderplug basically has a motion that is his overture.
Yes. From Classes Southeast.
From Classes Southeast. And I will say for myself, people got up and they shared their testimonies of how they came to Christ. They talked about how they want to be part of a denomination that is known for sharing the gospel and discipling people.
Yes.
And I don't know how other people felt in the room, but I thought, wow. I want to be a part of this.
Yes, amen to that, Cedric. I was literally starting to tear up at points because it was that moving. I'm like, people are coming out and talking about their love for Jesus and the power of the gospel to change lives, and especially when we're looking at numbers. I mean, Scott put out numbers. 17 years ago, our denomination was at 272,000. This year, what, 195,000. Dramatic decrease. 17 years ago compared to today, we have half the baptisms on average than we did back then. 17 years ago, today we have half the transfers in than we did 17 years ago. 17 years ago compared to today, we have a 400% reduction in people coming in through evangelism into our congregations. That's troubling. But then he said, I love this quote, and I wrote it down. He said, I have a dream that the Christian Reformed Church will be a denomination that will be known for something. We have been adrift without an identity. And he said, we can be known for evangelism and for discipling, because as Reformed Christians and with our confessions are so rich, and we have so many wonderful tools, we ought to be at the forefront. And so this came to the floor, vibrant discussion about the gospel and what it means to be the church, and what happened with that.
So the motion, essentially, to understand what it was asking, is it's basically asking every ministry of the Christian Reformed Church, whether it's Resonate or Thrive or the Office of Social Justice or whatever it is, these are the overture is saying we need to have a comprehensive plan to ensure that these are all gospel-centered ministries. They should be beating the drum. This is about Jesus. It is about sharing his gospel and bringing people into his kingdom through discipleship.
That's right.
And not only that, but it's telling the General Secretary. I forget. It's a communist thing. And
okay, we're going to have a conversation afterwards, Cedric.
Anyways, I lost my train of thought.
General Secretary, but to every level, to the classes level, to the congregations, let's be gospel focused. That is the singular thing that we need to be as a denomination if we have any hope of moving this decline in the opposite direction. We have to make first things first. The priority has to be the gospel of Jesus Christ.
Sharing the gospel, bringing people,
and
bringing the gospel to people.
And discipling people along the way. That pass, again, on a voice vote, which just shows that even though some of the ministries said, we don't need this, and yet the delegates said, we know the institution says this, we're going to do something different. The delegates have done that a couple times already. They have. This synod. Which, this is kind of exciting, actually.
It is,
because they're like, we are on fire. We know what needs to be done in the denomination. And the Lord is doing something amazing and wonderful here. It's very exciting on that. And then it finishes up with the new director, Canadian director of World Renew, Jamie McIntosh, I believe his name is. So,
beautiful. He spoke so eloquently.
So from the heart, again, his love for Jesus Christ came out. He spoke Jesus' name. That was something in the afternoon. I was like, when are we going to really hear something about Jesus? Jesus. And I wasn't hearing it in the afternoon. And then all of a sudden in the evening, we hear Jesus, Jesus, Jesus.
You know, all of a sudden, when Jesus starts coming up, you start feeling like there's more energy in the room.
No! And you leave it and you say, there is a hopefulness. I want to be a part of this.
Yes.
And so that gives me hope going again into the rest of the week. That if we focus in on that, these things that distract us from that in some ways, these important debates, but we can't spend so much time talking about matters, let's say human sexuality, that we just keep slogging it out year after year after year. We say, nope, this is the direction, this is where we're going, so we can focus our energy on Jesus Christ and the proclamation of the gospel. And so that's why I hope this synod says, this is the direction 2022 went. We're going to keep on going in this direction so that we can really then focus in on Jesus Christ. And
which is where our direction and our focus needs to be.
It does.
Especially.
It does. And that's where the confessions, Reformed confessions, are so beautiful because it brings that out. So, I'm looking forward to tomorrow. I hope I can sleep tonight, Cedric. But I will. And we will have an update, Lord willing, tomorrow night as well to talk about what happened at Synod on Tuesday. So until then,
Until then,
we will see you all then.
bye.